Hello, Steve White, Trekboy89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, I was just watching Trek Yards and they pointed out something that kind of I missed somehow. Basically, in the last episode of Lower Decks, they actually established in canon that Star Trek Discovery is in its own universe, the Discoverse. And yeah, I totally missed it. Now, honestly, I wasn't really watching the whole episode. I just watched some scenes, some clips, and saw other people's reviews because I haven't been able to stomach Star Trek for a couple of years now. So I've just been watching clips and scenes and other people's reviews to do my reviews. I haven't been watching the episodes because I couldn't make myself do it. Now, I wasn't too bothered by Lower Decks, particularly this episode, because it's the last episode. You know, the show's dead, it's cancelled, it failed, it's gone, it can't hurt Star Trek anymore, so it's not really a threat, so I wasn't really paying too much attention. But I missed a bit, which, because I saw people talk about it, but it just didn't register with me and I forgot about it. They actually showed that the Discovery universe is a separate universe, because in the episode they have these portals to you could go through different quantum realities and universes, and there's a point where the ships are moving through this like wormhole through these different universes, and at one point we see like a 24th century motion picture Next Generation era Klingon, and when he moves into a different universe he changes into, because it's obviously just the Discovery verse, he changes into one of the Discovery Klingons, the Klingorks as people call them, purple, bald head, talons, the what's supposed to be a ceremonial uniform, but they end up using it with everyone, and then changing to another one when they go into a different universe. So they established in canon that, that's the problem, I guess, is Lower Decks canon because it's animated. Some people say it is, some people say it isn't, but at least in the capacity that they could, they established in their own canon that Star Trek Discovery exists, but it's in another universe. And I'm really happy for them doing that. They did it in the last episode so they wouldn't get any trouble, but they did do that, so I've got to give them a bit of credit for that. Doesn't make up for all the other stuff they did to undermine Star Trek by parodying it, so anyone watching, any new fan watching old Star Trek or Next Generation who's seen Lower Decks is not going to be able to take it seriously. They're going to laugh at it, and that was the point of making the show for Kurtzman, to undermine the old Star Trek, because if it really isn't a problem, then he could have set it in his own universe and parodied that, but instead he parodied the original Star Trek universe. So, as if you don't know what happened, basically, when they were creating the J.J. Abrams film, they didn't have the rights to the original Star Trek, and they thought they did, and they thought all they had to do was establish a different timeline for the bulk of the film to take place in, that they could use the original Star Trek timeline, just the original Star Trek universe, just for the first scene. And then Paramount said, no, you can't do that. Now, they talked about this openly in promotions back in the day. They said how they were going to use the original Star Trek universe like that, and they were going to use the timeline so they could just create a whole new sort of Star Trek within it. But then they're told, no, you can't do that. You have to create your own universe. So they created the Prime Universe, which is basically their version, the JJ version of the original series canon era. So they did all that. But then, and they admitted at the time they talked about it, it wasn't like a huge issue, but then when that film didn't do so well and they created Discovery, which I think is due to copyright a separate third universe, they tried to gaslight people. They tried to walk it back, and they tried to convince us all with a big backflip that no, that's the original Star Trek. It's the original canon Star Trek. It's all the same universe. And I'm like, no, clearly it's not. Visually it's not. Story-wise it's not. Historically it's not. Character, nothing resembles that, because legally they can't, and also they didn't want to, because they wanted to mimic JJ's universe. So they just created another universe which is basically just copying everything JJ did, because the companies were fairly close, obviously, so they were like, just do it, we're not going to sue you. So, they basically just wanted to create the same look, even though legally it's copyrights are huge. But so they did all that, and they tried to act like it was the original Star Trek, and fans have been arguing about it for years, where Trekkies are just clinging to the idea that it's the same universe and it's the same as the original Star Trek, which it's not. It's a different universe. It's not as good, not as popular, hasn't had the same effect on the pop culture or anything. But yeah, so I'm just glad that they established, at least in animated Star Trek, canon, that Discovery is a different universe. It's not the same. It's not the same one. They did do a soft rebooting of it where they basically said in Strange New Worlds that they're in a different timeline from the original Star Trek because Romulans went back in the past to try and change the history of Khan's timeline to try and erase the Federation, and they moved the eugenics wars like 40 years into the future and changed everything. And I mean, some people tried to walk it back a bit, like Kevin Goldsman was like, oh yeah, it changed, but it all eventually changes back again. Like the timeline sort of gets warped and then goes back, and that's not how it works. It's a different timeline. It goes on its own. So even though they gave us like a half admission, like, no, it's not a different universe, but it's a different timeline. But then they tried to walk that back with the New Trek fans, saying, no, it all goes back to normal, so it's all right. And I'm like, just say it's different universes. We have a multiverse, and you've already split the fan base anyway, so just admit it and market them all separately to different ones and just really emphasize the best elements of each one and use it to your advantage instead of trying to gaslight people that it doesn't exist as an issue. But so I just had to talk about that for a minute. I had to talk about that scene. I kind of missed it. Then I was sort of told about it, saw it in the reviews, but it just didn't really hit exactly what they were doing. And then I sort of saw the guys talking about it. I'm like, yeah, wow, I kind of missed that. But yeah, they just established it because I know that's the truth, so it's not news to me. But it is to the people watching who, the New Trek fans who like to believe that it's all the same universe. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this little acknowledgement. And it is a little bit of a slap in the face to, Kurtzman and everyone from, is it Mike Mann or whatever his name is? I can't remember his name, the guy who actually does Lower Decks. And it's kind of brave for him, actually, I think, but that's why he probably waited till the last episode to do it. But yeah, I'm going to go. Let me know what you think of this little admission from, the Discoverse and New Trek that Discovery and the Discoverse is in fact a different universe from the other Star Treks that we've seen before.